Welcome to Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Insight, your ultimate hub for all things data and research. This video will cover how to use the Data Explorer tool. The Data Explorer is a tool to find and display individual datasets among the 15,000 available. You can filter data by specific criteria and navigate through detailed data. This video will include the use of features such as filtering the data, the different ways to visualize the data including by map or graph, and viewing the associated metadata. This video will be structured in a way where the key features will be introduced, and an example will follow. Firstly, where to find the Data Explorer. It can be found within the Data Tools menu here. Once you've clicked, it will bring up the tool. Next, how to find the data you want to look at. The search bar can be used to search keywords relating to the data you want to find. There is also a filtering function to narrow the search results to specific areas that you are interested in. Filtering can be done by geography, theme, or publisher. Filtering by a publisher will show all datasets from the selected publisher only. Some publishers have multiple names, for example ONS and Office for National Statistics. It is worth noting, you can only filter one theme at a time. Once you have found your dataset and clicked on it, you will be presented with the Metadata tab. The metadata is a short summary of the data, including the original source, publisher, and last updated date, all of which are important to help you understand the data and also to reference it in your work. The Data Explorer has several different ways to visualize the data including by map, graph, and time series. Starting with tables. Tables are often preferred when exporting the data to CSV to further analyze. Tables also allow for ease of filtering of different variables within the data. Visualizing data on a map is beneficial because it provides a visual context that makes it easier to understand data on a geographical basis and make more complex data more accessible to a wider audience. Similarly, line, bar graphs and time series can simplify large and complex data into easily digestible visuals that can help to identify key insights like trends or patterns. They allow us to make comparisons between different variables, such across different wards. Within each of these data visualization options, it is possible to filter the data further by time period or geography to curate bespoke datasets. For example, you can filter data to only show data in a particular district as demonstrated here. In addition to filtering the time period and the geography, it is also possible to change the format of the tabular data from standard into flat to make it easier to pivot the data if necessary. You can also then share your findings by sharing the unique URL, or you can export the data in a variety of ways such as downloading and exporting the table. Alternatively, you might want to export and print your map to PDF, which you can do by clicking here. You can also simply snip the data too. Once you are happy with their data selection and visualization, it is possible to then save it for future use by clicking on the star. Ultimately, all the tools available within the Data Explorer will help to tell the story around your data and enable evidence-based decision making. Those are the key features, and now on to the example. You are writing a report about Finland, and as part of the report you want to find economic data. Ideally, you would like to find some data which is available at ward level for some further analysis and understanding. However, you are not yet sure on the specific data you want and want to see what is available. You start by using the filters to narrow down the search, selecting economy, jobs, and benefits. You can then see further topics within this theme. Economic activity status looks useful. You also want to select ward. As mentioned before, it may be necessary to provide more context in the report. If you are looking for the most recent data, where possible, it is important to ensure that the data corresponds to the most recent boundary changes. For more details on geographies and boundaries, please reference the How to Geographies video within this series. The search has brought up lots of individual datasets. Data on people who are economically active would be particularly interesting to include. In this instance, you can either select the number of people who are economically active, or view this as a proportion. Proportion will provide data that is more comparable both at ward and district level. At the top of the page, there are some definitions of what economic activity looks like and how it is categorized. As mentioned previously, once you have clicked on a dataset, you will be provided with the associated metadata. In this case, the source is the Office of National Statistics and the data is from Census 2021. For more detail, there is a link in the methodology section to the original source. In this example, you would like a graph to visualize the data as you can screenshot and use it in the report. A line graph would not work with this data as there is no time series. So, a bar graph is the best option. Your report is only looking at Fenland, however it would be useful to include other Cambridgeshire districts for comparison. So, using the Filters button, Peterborough can be filtered out. As you can see on the graph, according to Census 2021, 57% of Fenland's over 16 population were economically active. This was the second lowest proportion compared to other Cambridgeshire districts. This graph can now be downloaded and used in a report alongside the write-up. It is important to note that the axis does not start at 0, and this is why Cambridge proportion looks a lot smaller. For further detail, you can export the data at ward level in order to see if there are any specific wards in each district which have a higher proportion of economically active individuals. To do this, select the Data tab, choose Ward as the geography. In this example, you need to pivot the data in Excel, so you can select the flat. Click Download and the data is now there for me to explore further. To accompany the ward data, a map may be the best option. Given the number of wards there are in Fenland, this would look too busy in a bar graph. After selecting wards, the map can now be exported. You want to export with the legend and a title, so you choose Layout option. Name the file, then choose appropriate file setup, either A for portrait or A for landscape, and then you can click Export. Here is the exported PDF map. Now you have your supporting data for your report, you are ready to go. The Data Explorer is just one of the many useful features on Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Insight. Check out the other videos in this series to learn about other useful features on the website. For now though, thank you for visiting Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Insight. Happy exploring!